Right, let's do this. I'm ready.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
No.
J Squad.
Gonna be so goddamn rich.
I think it's time to blow this thing. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Gonna be fucking rich. I want my fucking money. Griffin, I want my fucking money. Yo, motherfucker.
Quick burden, first one in the chat, well done.
Cheers. Holy shit, we're gonna be so fucking rich.
Great.
Damn it, we're gonna be so fucking rich. Griffin, I want my fucking money.
You're an original,
Hey,
aren't
yelling,
you?
give me the fucking money.
We are going to be exceedingly rich.
Get the goddamn money printer out.
Nice. DV in your base, 30 under. Open birds now, let's go. That's
Great.
right, baby. You've got the right. No quitters here.
No, man.
The bounty cutter.
Radwanski in the chat. And we're
I'm
done.
so fucking rich. Get the goddamn money printer out. All right, folks. We need to talk. This is not a good thing. This is not a good thing for anybody, not even those hoping for a market crash. Kamala's policies so far include price controls, which, as you guys may or may not know, were implemented by Fidel Castro, Maduro, and Joseph Stalin. A 28% corporate tax, 44.6% capital gains tax, and a 25% tax on unrealized capital gains. Think about what I just said. 25% capital gains tax on unrealized capital gains. Even if only for rich people, this would absolutely, catastrophically destroy the entire stocks and crypto and bond markets, and possibly even the real estate markets in the United States. Keep in mind, the Kamala administration said, the Kamala and Biden administration said that they were hiring 87,000 new IRS agents to go after rich people. The reality of the matter is that over 65% of all cases that have been investigated by these 87,000 new IRS agents have been for people that make less than $150,000 a year. That doesn't sound like rich people to me. It sounds like the middle class, like the 99%. Now they're trying to claim the same thing, that the 25% unrealized capital gains tax would be for rich people only. I don't believe that for a second. But even if it were, let's say that it were for people that were rich, what would they do? Before this actually came into fruition and they had to pay these taxes, they would sell off their expensive homes in the United States, their real estate investments, their bonds, their crypto, and their stocks, and they would take that money overseas. We're talking hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars, because it would be just wiped out of the financial markets immediately, because it would literally be a fire sale of assets across the world's richest people who own the majority of assets in this country. Now, what would that do to the remaining people that have pensions, 401ks, thrift savings plans, IRAs? It would completely destroy your pension, your 401k, your grandma's, your mother's, your dad's, your children's savings accounts in one fell swoop. To think that this is a good idea is extremely naive, ignorant, and shows a complete lack of financial understanding and education by not only the Kamala Harris administration and the Bidens, but also anybody willing to vote for these people. Now, as I said before, I have never in my life voted for Donald Trump. But in this case, he is our only option to ensure that the savings, what little savings Americans have left, what little investments for retirement is available to Americans right now, is not completely wiped off the face of the earth. If you think for a second that a billionaire or even a millionaire is going to sit around and be willing to pay 25% unrealized capital gains tax, it shows me that our schools did not do enough to educate you in the matter. This means that if your homes or your investment properties go up in value, you will then have to pay 25% capital gains tax out of pocket, even if you don't sell, every single year. If your stocks go up and appreciate, if your bonds, if your crypto goes up in value, you will have to pay 25% tax on this money, even if you haven't sold those investments. Turkey says, let it crash. Everything will change after the crash. Everything is fake now. Turkey, I have to agree and disagree with you. Are financial markets overvalued? Is there a massive bubble occurring? Yes. Is this how we want to see the crash occur? Absolutely not. This would wipe out the vast majority of the middle class. Even AMC and GameStop and silver and gold holders would be left in shambles. And I'm talking about utter destruction of the stock market in a way that is almost unrecoverable for many, many, many decades, if not a century or more. This is the worst news that I have heard for financial markets in my entire life. A vote for Kamala Harris at this point, I don't want to be demeaning, but it is one of the stupidest things that an otherwise educated person could do in their life. I'm sorry if you hate Trump. I've never voted for him before in my life. But at this point, it's my only option at saving my family and friends and my children's financial future. My mom's 401k and investment property, or even homes and such, because everything will be devalued for everybody in the entire country. And I'm not talking about a 5 or 10% correction. I'm talking about the biggest crash that this country has ever seen. And that does not leave me bullish on margin calls for AMC or GameStop or anything else of the sort. Because if that were to happen to this magnitude, with this many hundreds of billions leaving financial markets, the Federal Reserve and the United States Treasury would have to print so many trillions and trillions of dollars that even if we did become rich off of stocks like GameStop or AMC or gold and silver and other heavily shorted equities, our money would be worth so little that we would be paying $200 a gallon for a gallon of milk, or $150 for a carton of eggs, and the TXY would be completely wiped out after something like that. This is the worst possible thing that I have ever heard in my entire fucking life. As far as an economic policy, period. Anybody else want to chime in? That's the problem, Deanna. It says Kamala Harris winning is not even possible unless they rig it again. And you know that they're going to try. You know that they're going to try to rig the election again, without question. Jesse says the remaining
There's a
people...
few faults I've had.
Go ahead, brother.
No, go on. Go on.
No, go ahead, brother. I want to hear what you have to say.
So obviously I'm over in the UK, but we tend to get, especially election year, these promises, these things that, you know, this is the mandate. Labour's just been voted in. These are the same idiots we voted out last time. It never gets any better. But when I look at that, we had very similar. Shortest serving Prime Minister in history come out with a plan that affected the market, cost us £1.5 trillion to prop the market up because they said it was down to pensions. I don't believe that. Undoubtedly, there would have been some impact on the pensions, but they soon got rid of her. If that's Kamala's policy, she don't even want to get elected by the looks of it. But often is the case, they'll come out and say things and promise things, and it doesn't actually happen. It's just a long list of we tell you what you want to hear or what one side wants to hear or what some people who might vote for us. But there was a couple of things when you read it out, boss. The first one was I remember being in the UK, Trump and Hillary Clinton, and he said it was around the time when he said, she said, "Oh, it's a good job you ain't in charge of the law," or something. And he went, "Yeah, because you'd be in jail." But she also picked at him regarding him not paying tax, and he said, "Yeah, because you and your cronies didn't change it, because your donors didn't like it. So I'm doing the same as your donors are, change the laws, basically." So that for me that hurts us again, all of us.
Oh yeah.
If that was ever to come in, it's not the people with money. It's the people that are starting to earn money or getting a little bit wise or a little bit educated how to, how to trade, how to invest in the market. So that isn't for them. None of the rules they bring in are for them. That's for us. That's our money, our pensions. Like you said, that's what we would get. So I'm not obviously in the US, but when I read that, that's the same as anything I see in the UK. When they bring out these rules and these fancy ideas, and it's never for us. I'm too old to be fooled by it anymore. And I love the enthusiasm of the younger generation. And, we've heard it said about the boomers. The boomers don't care. Trust me, there was boomers fighting against what we're fighting today.
Yep, exactly.
Might not have been necessarily the heart of the beast and the market and the corruption and the cancer, but it was always something. It was always something that them upstairs live differently than us downstairs. And we're the ones that have to fight every day, and we're the ones that have to go out and do the jobs every day. And the rules that they bring out don't actually affect them. The world we live in is the real world. The world they live in is get away with doing whatever you want, whenever you want.
And
anyway,
you're right, dude. And even right now, we've heard Kamala Harris say that she is considering making Gary Gensler the United States Treasury Secretary. 100 million crypto owners in America just decided that they were voting for Donald Trump if they weren't voting for him before. This would absolutely destroy the entire cryptocurrency market. And then add on top of that a 25% unrealized capital gains tax on everything, basically. Capital gains would be anything related to housing market, to bonds, to stocks, to equities, CDs, savings accounts, for fuck's sake. It would be catastrophic.
Yeah. That's another one which, to me, is just politics. It's a game. It's a pretense, a facade. So Trump, only a few days ago, maybe a week, 10 days, said that he would out. It's probably longer than 10 days. He said he would out Gensler, didn't he? And now she's come out and said that she'd keep Gensler. And that to me isn't left versus right, red versus blue. That's politics. That's the politics that keep us divided.
That affect America and the world.
Yeah, 100%. It's God's honest truth. It is the same everywhere. There's two sides. There's not two sides to most things that are wrong on the planet that they don't get a hold of and a grip and sort out. There's two sides to staying in power and gaining control, and that's the rich side and the poor. And that's the only difference. And there's rich people who don't agree with some of the crap that's going on, and that's why they have to write the laws in that make them tax exempt, etc. So the rules they built out is for the masses, not the minority. And the people that bankroll these people and lobby them, they're the ones they listen to. And then we're left, working harder, working longer, later in life, losing our pensions, our jobs, our homes. When's it going to end? Well, when we start looking at politics, maybe, for what it is. If Trump comes out in the next week, boss, and says up, he supports going up. Up's the way. I was made to go up. This is what Trump's going to say. I was made to go up. I'm built to go up. I'm going to go up. She'll come out within a day or two and say down. I want to go down. I was made to be down. That's how the politics work. And I have been watching more closer than ever with the US politics. So it's a shame, like you said earlier, about RFK. I say it respectfully because I'm all the way over in the UK, but I've been paying attention. I like what the man says. However, if you're looking for somebody who said he's going to drain the swamp, you've got one. If you believe what's being said and the election was stolen, you've got one. With everything he's been through in this last 6-8 weeks and being dragged through the courts, I think there's a plan now. I think he's gone through the courts with pretense of, I don't want to be here, this shouldn't be happening, and using his lawyers so that he gets elected, he can then go after and drain the swamp. Because the reasons he give weren't good enough, so they can't use them moving forward. There's a lot to it, but bear in mind I am all the way over in the UK, so I trust the people of the United States to make the right decision for the United States, and I genuinely hope whoever gets in can turn things around, because there's many areas that it needs it, not just where you are. But if you led the way, it would make it a lot easier for us in the UK to demand and do the same. So,
speaking of that, bro, I got some bad news. There's just new breaking information right now. Joe Biden has ordered United States military and armed forces to prepare for possible nuclear confrontations with Russia, China, and North Korea, per the New York Times. This was just released information. This is the fucking lunacy of this administration right now. And then people are going to say that, well, it's fine if the rich people pay more. Let them pay the 25% capital gains. First of all, it would destroy your fucking stocks, bonds, pensions, IRAs, thrift savings plans, and everything. Because there were trillions of dollars would leave the markets overnight. So even if they did, you'd be broker than ever. Your retirement would be destroyed. But even still, let's say they did. The DNC last night, there were many, many lies told. One of them was that 1,000 billionaires in America pay an average of 8.2% tax rate. The top 10% of income earners in America pay 70% of all of the federal income tax collected by the IRS. 70%. How much more of someone else's wealth do you need? The top 10% in America pay 70% of all income taxes. If we raise that even more, there's a very good possibility that by trying to tax their unrealized capital gains on their properties, the homes that they own, the apartment buildings that they own, the stocks, bonds, CDs, you name it, that they take their money and run, and rightfully so. And that would leave everybody else in there holding the fucking bag of worthless equities. We can also talk about border crossings and all those lies as well, but I'm not going to bother because I think everybody already knows just how bad the situation is. Let's just stick to this particular topic at the moment, and that is that a 25% tax on unrealized capital gains would completely destroy any chance of you or I or our children's children's children being able to make money in financial markets for the next several decades. absolutely wild.
Always be fearful of power when they think they're losing it. If you go back through
Yep.
time, Prime Minister after Prime Minister in the UK has gone to war when they thought they were going to be outed. Thatcher done it. Blair done it. Even Winston Churchill did it.
Currently, just so you guys know, the United States government and are printing $1 trillion in debt. They're printing more than that, but they're adding $1 trillion in debt to this country every 3 months. 3 months, guys, $1 trillion more. We're currently at $35 trillion. Let's see, October, November, September, October, November. By November, we'll be at 36.1 trillion. 3 months from then, we'll be at 37 trillion. 3 months from then, we'll be at 38 trillion. And that's at the current pace. Of course, they start printing more money, that'll go up even higher. And what do you think is going to happen to inflation if that occurs? They continue to print money under Biden-Harris, inflation will go higher. The Federal Reserve will have to maintain rates at their current rate, at the current percentage for even longer, or have to raise rates even more. What is that going to do to your ability to buy a home? What is that going to do to your ability to save when your grocery bills, your car insurance, your homeowner's insurance, and all of our utilities are skyrocketing even more? You think it's bad now? Inflation stacks. It compounds over time. Every month, the same gallon of milk, the same 24-pack of sodas. You see how much a fucking 24-pack of Cokes is at the store now? It's going to get higher and higher and higher every single month. And as they print more, as billionaires sell off their stocks and homes because they don't want to pay 25% tax on unrealized gains, it's going to add even more money that the government has to print to prop up the economy, to prop up the stock market, and as a byproduct, create more rampant inflation. Anheuser-Busch just announced that they're slashing 15% of their entire workforce today. General Motors is getting rid of 1,000 engineers. Come on, guys. The writing is on the wall. Do the right thing. Jesse, it's every 90 days, my friend. Every 3 months, they're printing $1 trillion and adding it to the federal debt. Not to mention price controls. Do you guys know what happens to food when price controls are enacted? Grocery stores realize that they cannot make money off that food, so they replace the food on the shelves with other things that are not food. Toilet paper, paper towels, just other goods in general. The only place to get that food would be direct from farmers and others and on the black market. This is what has happened in Venezuela, Argentina, Cuba, Joseph Stalin's Soviet Union. And every time this happens, the price of food skyrockets, there are food shortages, and millions of people die. This is easy to understand if you follow history. And to think that this time it's different is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. It would be no different under Kamala Harris. Communist Kamala at this point. Red Velvet says, I have thousands in debt and the government is trillions in debt and they're telling me how to save money. That's correct. And they're printing $1 trillion in money out of thin air every 3 months. And they're giving you a credit score and telling you that you can afford to pay $3,000 a month in rent, but you can't afford to buy a home for $2,000 a month because your debt to income ratio is too high. These are the same people that bail out these same banks, that work hand in hand with these same market makers and brokers and clearinghouses and hedge funds to wipe out your savings and pensions and 401ks every single time there is a financial crisis. They print the money for them, and we have to pay for it. It is added to our national debt. Our children have to pay for that. They are literally taking food off of our fucking table. And too many people out there have a mental illness called Trump derangement syndrome, which doesn't allow them to see past the bullshit that the mainstream media is shoving down their throats. The fact of the matter is, as I've told you guys before, the RFK administration has come to me, as well as some others out there in the community, to ask them what could they possibly do to help enact reform in financial markets. And I've been working with them for the better part of a year now on explaining and helping them craft their basically initiatives for stocks and bonds and other financial markets. As much as I would love to see RFK win the presidency, he's not even on every ballot he's not even on the ballot in every state in the country, unfortunately. And they would have to spend millions and millions of dollars just to put him on the ballot, and that would leave much, much less for them to even spend on campaigning. That's why, if you guys didn't notice, there's been news coming out from his vice president candidate stating that there's a possibility that RFK sides with the Trump administration and joins the Trump administration. That would probably be one of the worst things that could happen to the deep state and Kamala Harris, and I hope it does happen. Because as much as I like RFK, he's not a puppet like the rest of the Biden and Harrises. That's why the DNC would not allow him to be the candidate. So the only chance there would be for him to join forces with Donald Trump. And even though I have spent many hours on helping to craft financial reform with the RFK administration directly, because again, they came to me, I didn't come to them, and I agree to help because I want to see financial reform take place, it's just not feasible in my opinion. And I would love to have a discussion with RFK Jr. and hear everything he's got to say and let him know how Americans feel. Lux says, we're sitting here talking about economic collapse and there are huge red flags coming from Russia about nuclear war after the Kursk invasion. Jesse says, the butcher is cooking, my friend. I hate to even be cooking about this right now, but someone's got to get the frying pan out here and kind of, it's got to cook up a storm to let people know, like, guys, this is really bad news. It's not what you think it is. It's not going to go well for us or the rest of the middle class or our veterans or American citizens if the government keeps printing between $150 to $450 billion a year for illegal immigrants to have food, clothing, health care, cell phones, and God knows what else that we don't have. Because we still have to pay for that on our national debt and through inflation. It's not going to go well if they implement price controls and there are food shortages. And we then have to struggle for food and fight with others at the grocery store just to get a can of beans. It's not going to go well if we have to go on the black market to buy eggs from our local farmers and egg prices on the black market skyrocket 100, 200, 500, or 1,000%. It's not going to go well if the world's richest people have to pay 25% unrealized capital gains taxes in this country. They will pull their money out of stocks, bonds, crypto, real estate, and other assets here. Even the antique cars and watches and shoes that appreciate in value will be sold off. And they will take their money elsewhere. They'll move to other countries and they will invest that money elsewhere because they're not going to pay 25% in unrealized capital gains on stocks or homes that they haven't even fucking sold, because that's crazy communist policy. A 44.6% capital gains tax is astronomical. Capital gains tax is already way too fucking high. And if you hold, you can get long-term capital gains taxes and break it down currently to about 20%. That's obviously going to be abolished under these plans. And you won't be able to hold if you have to pay a 25% unrealized capital gains tax. Because just like the IRS hired 87,000 new IRS agents to go after rich people, 65% of those agents have been going after people that make under $150K a year. Same thing's going to happen with this capital gains bullshit if Americans actually vote this bullshit in. Yeah, you're right, man. It'll cause a crash like it has never been seen before in this country. Like, and people that voted for the Harris administration will have to pay for it. But you know what? Sadly, even we, others that don't vote for this nonsense, will have to pay for it. And our kids. So yeah, I'm seriously concerned about this. This is the worst news I have heard in my entire life as far as economic policies and potential for the middle class to actually live the American dream. You can throw the American dream right out the fucking window and forget about it for the rest of your fucking life, because this country will never financially recover from this. Never financially recover from these fucking policies. Price controls, like you say, Fidel Castro, Joseph Stalin, Maduro, 28% corporate tax, 44.6% capital gains tax, 25% tax on unrealized capital gains. I don't mean to beat a dead horse here, but this country is going to be a dead fucking horse if people vote for this. Mr. Turner says, either way you vote, the government will still print. That may be correct, my friend, but the amount of money that will need to be printed if this happens in order to bail out our financial system, you think things are expensive now? You can triple, quadruple, and 10 times what you're fucking spending now every month. I fucking guarantee it. And I don't want people coming back to this video in a couple years saying, damn, boss was right, and sharing this video on social media saying, how did he know? Because that's exactly what the fuck we're going to get. Exactly what the fuck we're going to get. It is inevitable. Inevitable. If people vote for this shit, you can count on the richest Americans taking all of their money and pulling it out of the stock market. This might be a situation, if this happens, where I would have to leave this country without fail. Without fail. Because I will not stand by and watch the Harris administration destroy the rest of this country. That's a fucking sad fact. Rick Wolf says a great point. I want tax credit for my unrealized losses. And of course, that's never going to fucking happen. If you have unrealized losses in the stock markets, you don't get a tax break. If you have a $3,000, you know what the maximum? $3,000. That's the maximum capital gains lost, and you can write off every year. So you can write off a maximum of $3,000 on your taxes for realized capital gains losses, but you cannot get any money back for anything beyond that $3,000 that's been realized, nor can you get a single penny back for anything that's been unrealized. But they want to tax you on things you haven't even sold. That is the definition of communism. Pierre, I couldn't disagree with you more. It's a shame Trump is so bad and has no plans. My friend, I recommend that you watch some Trump speeches as much as you hate him, because the man has some incredible plans. You just have to do your own research. I'm not going to sit here and spoon feed you every single thing he's planned and done. There's a lot. Again, but you have to look beyond what Reuters is telling you, because CNN is not going to explain to you all of the positives and pros that Donald Trump did in 2016 through 2020 to help this country. They're only going to show you the lies, the fear, the uncertainty, and the doubt of things that they think he's going to do, even though he's clearly come out and said that he does not support Project 2025, that he will not remove, he will not make abortions illegal, he will not increase taxes on Americans, and many, many other things. Ozarkian says, governments do what the people tolerate. It falls on us to force them to govern properly, as the founders of this country themselves said. That is correct. That is correct. Mr. Turner, you're right. We don't need either party, but we're stuck with one. So you better pick the lesser of two fucking evils, you know? And that's right, the people who know what's going on are not enough. The heavy majority are glued. Phil for real says, I was once a zombie, then I did my own homework, and holy shit, Trump was the best president. And you know what? Maybe this is what people need. Maybe people do need me to pull it up and show them everything that Donald Trump did for this country. And I think I might just do that. Let me see. I'm pretty sure I've got it in my bookmarks here. And the list is long, my friends. Keep in mind, I didn't vote for him in 2016. I didn't even vote for him in 2020. But I'm able to look back and see what has been done, the good things and the bad things, between both the Biden administration and the Harris and Biden administration and the Trump administration. And I'm not too much of a fucking sheep to be forced into choosing Kamala Harris just because Donald Trump puts out mean tweets. And I want people to know this, because a lot of people still don't realize this, including some of my very own family members. Don't believe that there was actually election fraud. The Arizona GOP has filed a bombshell lawsuit against two criminals, namely Secretary of State Adrian Fontes and Katie Hobbs, after discovering 500,000 to 1.3 million illegal voters, including people that are dead, non-residents, illegal aliens, on the state's rigged voter rolls in Arizona. The Arizona Senate audit of the Arizona Senate audit of the 2020 election confirms that there were dirty voter rolls and mail-in ballots and illegal aliens voting for Democrats. The Arizona Senate Majority Whip, Sonny Borelli, has shown evidence of 733,000 mail-in ballots cast in 2020 have vanished into thin air, are unaccounted for, and are gone. Again, the Arizona GOP filed this lawsuit here on June 4th, and this is currently in the courts. And the only reason this wasn't investigated sooner is because Attorney General Bill Barr prevented, as one of the tools of the Democrat administration, prevented these from going to court and shut it down. Hilsey says you also have to look beyond your Google searches since the DNC has hijacked it and manipulated the searches. That is absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. The information that you see on Google is the most specifically chosen and highly suppressed information that you will find in the world. You have to use other engines to search. Jesse says the best joke is how they bashed Trump's border policies. Then 4 years later, they used the exact policies with a release valve attached. Yeah, it's hilarious that that Joe Biden undid the price caps on insulin by Donald Trump, and then re-implemented them, and then said that Joe Biden is the one that put the price caps on insulin. And of course, that's true, but only because he's the one that took them off after Donald Trump had already put those price caps in place. And the same thing goes for their border policies. And even still, they tried to implement these border policies without actually securing the border. It's a bunch of, look here, but not there kind of things. They tried putting together border policies that still allow tens of thousands of illegal immigrants in the country every single day. I want to bring to you guys a testimonial here from somebody who grew up in a communist country where the government controlled prices and rationed food supplies. Price controls. Everything was rationed. Z Van Fleet says everything was rationed. From food to cloth for clothing. There were no ready-to-wear clothes or toothpaste. And whatever wasn't rationed was always in short supply. One summer, my mother used my share of cloth coupon and bought enough cloth to make 2 tops and shorts for me. At the end of the summer, someone asked me why I never changed clothes. And I then realized that it was because I wore the two identical sets for the whole time. Occasionally, the free market would make a brief appearance in certain parts of my city. Peasants would sell fresh vegetables that always looked far better than anything in government stores. I'll never forget the day I was trying to buy some vegetables when the market police suddenly showed up. People fled in all directions, leaving scattered vegetables all over the ground, because it was illegal for peasants to sell and for consumers to buy because of these price controls. This is the future that Kami law wants to forward us towards. These are old grain ration coupons I have kept. These aren't stories of something that is possible. These are stories of things that have already happened many, many times around the world, and they always end the same. In China, you could get the death penalty for selling your ration coupons. This is a public trial of 75 people who sold their ration coupons in the 1980s. And again, look at this person here. These vouchers represent just one type among many that were required to purchase goods in China during the years of the planned economy. Price controls. I recall that each household member... Eagle Eye, mute yourself, brother. She says, I recall that each household member was allotted only 0.44 pounds of meat and cooking oil per month. These are people that lived this. There's a reason that they escaped their communist countries and came to America, because they were trying to get away from communist price controls. Capri Film says this is exactly the same or worse than what my parents lived through under Fidel Castro's Cuba. Cubans had the little book the regime gave us all that told us how much to get at the market and how much per month, only if what we needed was available, which rarely was available. Newspapers were toilet paper. I saw them in Havana when I visited Cuba in 2017. It is worse than Mao's China. Even bananas are rationed. There's the coupon books right there. Does it look very familiar? It looks very familiar to the little vaccine passports that the Democrats were forcing down your throats in 2020, 21, and 22. All my memory of childhood was the rice. Fucking stinky and so smelly. I have to take a basket to the store, wait for an hour in line, and shopping coals for winter with your own trolley bringing home. And pork fat is so delicious, but just once in a while. My grandma has to collect enough tickets for it. This is not America. This is not okay, people. You cannot possibly be okay with this and vote for Kamala Harris. What the fuck are people thinking? And I can't believe that some of my very own family and friends, some very intelligent individuals have Trump derangement syndrome so bad that they're willing to vote for this simply because they still believe that Trump is a 34-time convicted felon, even though the kangaroo court that occurred with Judge Merchan was a complete farce that will be turned over in appeals court. Fuck. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Ozarkian says, we can wake up the sheep. It just takes time and effort. Some people have been working on this problem for decades. In the run-up to 1776, there was a lot of work done to get people to realize the situation they were in. And the same has happened again. Vanguardism works, but it takes effort. Thank you. Trentel Davis says, like the stream to spread awareness. Do me a favor, like and share and repost the stream and send it to your friends and family. They may not like me. They may think I'm some sort of cultist. But the reality of the fact is that I've never before in my life voted for Donald Trump. But I did my own homework over the last 8 years and have realized that Donald Trump was much better for this country than any Democrat in my recent lifetime. That's really sad, especially Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. All right, folks. I'll leave you with that. I don't want to make this stream too long. I wish you peace and wealth. And I hope that you're smart enough. You know what? Before I go, I'm going to play this video for you guys. You guys want to know a little something about 2016? The fact of the matter is the Democrats never thought that Hillary Clinton was going to lose to Donald Trump. They'd never imagined that Americans would vote for Donald Trump over Hillary Clinton. Therefore, they didn't get the rig in place in time. This is former Overstock CEO, Patrick Byrne, revealing exactly in great detail how he helped the FBI frame Hillary Clinton so that she would be a puppet of the deep state.
Why they did not, I know what's in the Durham report, and I'm going to say it here. I bribed Hillary Clinton $18 million. I facilitated a bribe for Hillary Clinton on January 14th, 2016, right here in this town. On behalf of the FBI, they came to me around December 1st, 2015. They told me Hillary Clinton had accepted a bribe from Turkey for $20 million. They told me that I would be working for a group in New York, FBI agents, who had authorization to set Hillary Clinton up in a sting. They asked me to facilitate a bribe for her, an $18 million bribe from another government. The bag man from that other government was, I was to befriend, and I was to get that person 10 minutes alone in a room with Hillary Clinton. I did. On January 14th, 2016, Hillary Clinton was in this town, and she met in a way that was kept off her schedule. She accepted an $18 million bribe. But General Barr knows this. This is the Durham. They know this was what is behind it all. And I'll even tell you, I'm going to drop one more thing. I've been waiting to say this publicly, and this is what really happened. I will tell you, if you hear this and you give me 90 seconds, your viewers will understand what's happened in the last 5 years in America. I've been waiting to say this on mainstream TV, and they will not have me back because once they understood what this was about. I had Hillary Clinton, I caused Hillary Clinton, I facilitated a bribe, and she took a second bribe for $18 million. And I worked with the FBI as I did that. They're deeply involved in this. They came to me 3 days later and told me I had to forget about it and forget that it ever happened. And I said, what are you talking about? And they gave me one excuse. They said, Hillary's going to win, and it's been decided upstairs. Nothing's going to be able to stop that now. So she's going to win, and she's going to send her people over to the FBI and ask who was part of investigating Hillary, and any of us who were part of it are going to be destroyed, and that includes you too, Patrick. And so this mission has been scrubbed from the highest level. And I thought about that, and I said, yes, sir, and I came. But 2 or 3 weeks later, I was back with 3 federal agents this time. 3 federal agents, and I let them know that wasn't sitting, and this is in Salt Lake City, Utah, and that wasn't sitting well with me, and I'd like to know why. We had almost a year before the election. They could have had me and another person in front of a grand jury in a week and gotten her indicted. And they told me, and this is the key to understanding what's happened in America. They told me, this is word for word, Patrick, what's really going on is this. President Obama has his people across the federal bureaucracy at this point, but especially the Department of Justice. Hillary Clinton is going to be president for 8 years, and nothing's going to change that. But think of there being a Bunsen burner within the Department of Justice. That evidence about the 2 bribes you were part of gathering is going to be sitting on the Bunsen burner. And the hand on the Bunsen burner is going to be one of Barack Obama's people. If Hillary's a good girl and defends Obamacare, that flame stays low. If she's a bad girl and thinks for herself, it's going to get turned up high. That way, Barack Obama is going to manage Hillary Clinton for the 8 years she's president, and then she's going to step down, and Michelle's going to run. And Patrick, that's the plan. That came out of the lips of a federal agent. It was confirmed to me this spring. The Durham investigation has that plan was called the Operation Snowglobe. That was Brendan Obama's name for it. Snowglobe, they were trying to get Hillary to step into a snow globe. I'm looking for a prop. A snow globe that anytime they wanted, they could then pick up and shake for 8 years. My bribe was the bait to get her to step into the snow globe. That's all from it. This isn't a theory. I'm the guy in the room. I'm acknowledging I took part in all this, and I thought I was helping them conduct federal law enforcement. It turned out that I was helping them set up Hillary Clinton for a deep state to control her. And that's why, and I came up public a year ago with some pictures that showed me with this Russian redhead, Maria Butina, lovely woman, that said, and so I'm saying this entire thing, this last 5 years, has been a coup It was from Obama against Hillary, that when Trump won in a fluke, it got morphed into the Russian collusion delusion. And I say that as the guy that had romancing Maria and bribing Hillary Clinton. So I'm about as involved in this as you can get, and I promise you that's exactly what happened. And what we're seeing here is the last act play out. I was the last act play out. And the reason I mentioned that I knew in October 2018 that this was going to happen was because in 2018 I was offered, a federal agent came to tell me, Patrick, you need to understand there are billionaires walking around this world that we made, and we're prepared to do the same for you. You just have to stay calm. You just have to stay quiet through the election. And by that election, I knew he meant 2020 election. So I've known that they were going to hijack this election since October of 2018.
There you have it, folks. CO Patrick Burns was directly involved with federal agents in order to facilitate extortion against Hillary Clinton. This man was directly involved in a relationship with Maria Butina, the Russian, and it all got morphed into the Russian collusion hoax that we all have found now that has been deeply investigated to be a complete lie. As a matter of fact, it is Democrats who have ended up going to jail for colluding with Russia. They were literally projecting onto Trump falsities that they were doing themselves. Do with it what you will, ladies and gentlemen. Anybody who still thinks the deep state is not in existence, or the deep state is a conspiracy, in my opinion, has a lot of fucking learning to do. Cheers, my friends. I wish you peace and wealth. Don't vote for communism. Thanks for your support, everybody in the chat, Discord,